Our next guest on Under the Shell, the final guest of the year, is Maryland quarterback and Music City Bowl MVP Billy Edwards. Billy, thank you for coming on to the show.
Appreciate you guys having me.
So I guess kind of run us through this offseason, spring season so far. How's it been?
It's been good. I think it definitely goes by a lot quicker than you think. I can sit here remembering what it was like probably January 2nd when I was back in College Park after the bowl game and the 2023 season ended, and looking, just remember looking at the calendar with how many weeks we had of term time and a month of spring ball and things of that nature. So it went by quick. I think we definitely we're productive with it as a team. I think we got a lot of new faces that showed up in January with some of the mid years and transfers, and we'll have another new wave of kids coming here in a couple of weeks. But I think it was good, and I think it's always good when you can look back on it and not have many regrets, as far as making the most of the time. We got a few more weeks off now, and then like I said, those few weeks will go by quick, and it'll go by quick, and we'll be right back here June 1st, ready to roll into the first summer session. So it was a good off season, went by quick, but I think we're all excited to hit the ground running here in the summer, and know that August and the season is just right around the corner.
Mhm. And obviously, one of the biggest storylines with the team right now is the quarterback battle after Talia left. Five QBs, all of you guys kind of vying for that starting role. Kind of what's been your mindset as, you're vying for a role, but at the same time, you also want to be that team player and support everybody?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just to continue to be the person I've been since I got here. I think I've done a good job of just whatever role that I've been given or that I've earned, just doing it to the best of my ability. Whether it's been being the backup and having to come in games, being the goal line package guy, whatever it is. So I just in the beginning of this whole quarterback competition and really just throughout my whole career here is just to remind myself to just continue to be myself. One for the that part, and then two, just show up and try to be the best version of myself every day. Because I know this quarterback competition is going to be a long one. Where it's been long already. It's lasted since probably the bowl game. So we're going on 4, 5, 6 months now, and we still we'll still be vying for the quarterback job all the way up until the first game. I just try to remind myself to be be my authentic self, and also know that it's a journey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So just try to show up every day, put my best foot forward, and continue to improve, so that when I look back from how I played in the bowl game to what I'll be able to produce come game one here in a few months, that I'll be happy with the strides and progress that I've made.
In terms of when you're in a quarterback competition like this, like on one hand, coaches always say and players do that it brings the best out of each other. But on the other, I kind of want to know, especially from a quarterback position, when you have a guy who, you're in a tight battle with, and I would wonder, in your time in practice, or even like in that Indiana game or that in the Music City Bowl game, do you ever felt like maybe you tried to like do too much because you're so worried about making a mistake, because then it's like, oh, you could get yanked, Because I know like Tom Brady talked about that when he was at Michigan, with Drew Bledsoe. Drew Henson was his name, was another
Yep.
quarterback. So I just want to know, is that a feeling, and how do you conquer that? How do you get over that?
Yeah, I think that was definitely something that's always in the back of your head, right? I think that's quarterback is more. It's probably 95% from your shoulders up in terms of being able to be a successful quarterback at the college level, NFL level, regardless of what it is. So I think for me, right, this being my first full spring, or like first full, you know, part of the program where I've been going mostly with the ones and twos and stuff, is you know, our system is bulletproof, as Coach Locks always says, and we have probably the best group of skill players in the Big Ten, if not the country, right? So as a quarterback, that makes our job easy, to where like we don't. I started telling myself, probably it was middle of spring ball, maybe second or third week, where I'm really like, I don't have to do anything crazy, right? Obviously, my 2 years here, I've come into games, I've come into at different situation times of games, whether it was down in the fourth quarter or mop up time, whatever it was, to where, yeah, maybe in the back of your head, I know there's 7 minutes left in this game and we're down 10. So like, yeah, I could be a little bit more aggressive in that sense. But being, playing this, going throughout this spring ball and playing with the, Ty and KP and all our good skill players, like, I know I don't have to do anything crazy at the end of the day. I just have to do my job and execute the offense. So I don't have to be aggressive every time. If it's 1st and 10, I can live with checking it down to the back, or if I don't like the look, I can check us into a run and get us 3 or 4 yards on first down. I don't have to do anything kind of out of the ordinary in that sense. But it's definitely, I think as a younger player when I first got here, that may have been in the back of my head. But I think the older I've gotten, the more experience I've gotten. Just to know that quarterback is, I mean, granted, it's one of the hardest positions, in all of sports, but at the same time, you just have to go in there and execute to the best of your ability, which at the end of the day, that's not, it's not as difficult as people may think. It's not as complex in that sense. So yeah, it's definitely something that pops in out of your head. But I think Coach Locks and our coaches do a good job of reminding us that we don't have to do anything crazy because all these guys are here to run 4 3s and 4 4s and make us look good. So we just got to get the ball to them and be a distributor and let them go from there.
You mentioned it, and I know Coach Locksley's mentioned it, how the following season kind of starts at that bowl game. When did you kind of find out that you were going to have a much bigger role in that game than you had in other games? When you found out maybe Talia wouldn't be going in that game, had you known that for a while? And then when you kind of find out what your specific role would be for the bowl game?
Yeah, it wasn't too much. It wasn't too much sooner before than when I think it was like publicly announced that he was not going to play, because we had like some bowl practices, and he was there for majority of them, and then obviously, right, eventually at some point, I don't remember exactly what the day was when he didn't show up. People talk and whatnot, but the one thing I tried to during that whole kind of time period where I didn't know what the deal was just to do what I had done. The full, my first 2 seasons here, the first 25 games or whatever it was, I've been, a Maryland Terrapin, just because I've always tried to prepare the right way to put myself in the best spot to where even if I knew he wasn't going to play or if I didn't know, when there was games where he got banged up and I had to come in, but I always kind of put myself in the best situation. So I'd say I think it was probably like maybe a day and a half or 2 days before it went public that I knew he wasn't going to play. And then obviously, knew I was going to start. I knew, Coach Locks with how he views the bowl games as the jump start to the next season that both me and Cam are going to play. But yeah, so it wasn't too much sooner than you guys found out, but I tried to have the right mindset since, December 1 or whatever day we finally started practicing again, getting ready for that bowl game, just to make sure I took care of my things, so that regardless of what my opportunity was in the game or how many ever snaps I was going to get, I was going to be ready.
I'm just kind of curious. In that bowl game, you guys had the speakers inside the helmets. Kind of what was that like? Because I believe that would have been your first time playing with the coach kind of in your ear. Was that a hard adjustment? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
I think definitely. I think it definitely at the end I liked it. I think we didn't have as many learning curves as I maybe anticipated. There were definitely times in the game where it was a little bit messed up for number of reasons, whether it was the connection or whatever. But I think I liked it. I think I think it definitely was just, for one thing, it was cool, right, to sit there and hear it in your head, because as a little kid watching football growing up, you only ever see the NFL quarterbacks, get to do things like that and have that in their helmet. And I think it definitely just helped, because there were times where, I'd be reading the defense, looking, pre-snap, looking at what I'm looking at and getting ready to make a check. And Coach Gaddis would be like, yeah, like he'd see me start to do it and he'd be like, you're good. Like, roll with it, let it go. Or, keep doing what you're doing, sort of thing. So that was good. It was definitely interesting, because, there were times where it would get louder and sometimes it would cut out. But I think, we did a good job in the bowl practices and the preparation leading up to it, kind of working through those growing pains, so that we didn't have to, when it came game day, it ran pretty much as smooth as it could.
Billy, I'm going to garner a lot of your personality from this question. I'm going to be one of those fake NFL or Madden people. I'm going to ask you, with the new game coming out, NCAA 25, first off, what does Billy Edwards think he should be rated? And second off, what's your best attribute? What are we giving you like a 90 plus in?
My rating. Trying to remember when people asked me this, like in the winter when it first came out. I'd say that I would hope I'm at least like a 79 or above.
Hell yeah! There we go, Billy.
I think that's realistic. I don't know. You never know how they're going to rank. What like the scale of the
scale
ranking
is? Yeah.
Is there going to be 1,099,000 or is there going to be like 5? We don't know. So anything 79 or above, I would be okay with for the work that I've done in my 2 years here so far. But I would say just with what I've shown the past 2 years, yeah, I better have like a 99 agile or like truck or just running abilities. Like that better be off the charts. And then after this season, we can upgrade the rest. I'll make sure to fix that box. But definitely something with trucking or I don't know about speed, but maybe like juke ability or something.
Yeah,
That
you
happened
get
in the 90s.
for a QB. I feel like on the scale, you would be up there in the NCAA. And then who's the which player's getting the best rating on the Terps? Like, what are we? Is this a pointed debate? Because y'all don't really like Talia would have been that last year or Jay Sean probably, but now those guys are gone. I don't know if there's necessarily like that one clear guy who stands out. So who are you handing it out to?
You're gonna get me in trouble if I pick one. I would say, I mean, I think you can definitely make a strong argument for Ty Felton or Caden Prather.
Okay.
Defensively, probably Dante Trader.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, you Roman like there's a handful of guys that are all like you just I don't know. I could see it going in a multitude of ways. If I had to be a safe bet, I would bet Ty Felton or Caden Prather just off the production they had last year. But I don't know if it's their whole career. I have no clue what they're basing it off of. But I would assume probably one of those two. And thinking of Ty Felton's speed, Caden Prather's like catchability,
Fantastic
like,
catch.
all those things will be crazy. So they better be the highest on the team.
You mentioned some of those, rushing abilities and obviously kind of joking around about the attributes, but seriously, you kind of became on the team last year, the person to go to when you needed a yard. And that is obviously a very big role on the team. And, the Michigan game ended up being, probably the best performance in that regard. When did you kind of find out, because it didn't happen the entire year, that you were just kind of, when you're going to come in, it was likely going to be in that role, and kind of how did you embrace that?
Yeah, so I think it was like week 2 for Charlotte. I don't remember why we put it in or not why. I don't remember how it kind of came to thing, but I think it was like the Tuesday meeting before practice, which is where we go over short yardage and goal line, that they originally, like for the first time, introduced my package going in and having like short yardage and goal line runs. So we did it twice in that game, and then they had like a similar thing for me, obviously very different than to majority of my runs, but we had a run package in for me against Ohio State. It didn't work on 4th and 1 there on that second drive. So then after that, like we pretty much scrapped it. Like I didn't hear about it for weeks. So between when it didn't work versus Ohio State, the first time I heard about it was, I'm almost positive, Michigan, that 3rd and goal, because I think the first time I went in, we maybe threw like a stand-up screen to Colby McDonald and he didn't get in. And then, or he got in, they called touchdown, then they were reviewing it and he didn't get in. And I remember I was standing like on the sideline holding like a clipboard for my brother. I don't even think I had my helmet on. I don't remember. But it was obviously, I was cold. My like teeth were clattering. And I was sitting there like shaking. And I think upstairs in the box, they knew it was going to be 4th and goal. They knew that we didn't get it. And my brother yelled at me like, "Go!" And I looked at him. I was like, "What?" He was like, "Go!" He was like, and called the run play we were going to run, like, which is what we had run majority of the time, previous in the year that I'd gone in. And I was like, in my head. And once he did that and he took the binder from me, like I kind of just blacked out. But before that, I was definitely not anticipating it. So I did it once in the game, came off, and I was like, all right, that was cool, like nice. And then did it 2 more times, and then after that, Rutgers game, my package evolved. We had more stuff, and we just, from the Michigan Rutgers and the bowl game, the package for me kind of evolved into some different things and different looks and whatnot. But yeah, there was that for week 5 Ohio State to week 11, 12, like it wasn't even talked about in our facility, in our meetings, nothing. So that was definitely a unique experience for me, but that just showed to always stay ready. That was another thing that reminded me, right? Just to be ready.
Billy, you're maybe like the most perfect, unique person to ask about what the hell happens at the bottom of a pile in a football game. I mean, you more than anybody, like the QB sneak guy. What's the craziest story? This can even be from high school or whatever level of football where you were down there and you were just like, what the hell is going on right now? Like,
I mean, yeah, I'll probably get a bit like trolled for this on the internet for saying it, but the second touchdown I had against Rutgers this year, I don't know how it's not on TV. They just like literally at the bottom of the pile or wherever I was in the pile, just completely pulled off my pants, like completely. And I remember, I think it was Antoine Littleton was one of the running backs in the game behind at the time, and he was like one of my, the guys pushing pushing me in, and he was like, I just remember like a couple people pulling, and I think it was him that was pulling him back up for me or something. Because I remember I went back and tried to look on our like our end zone cam of it, and it was cut out really quick. So I don't know if we ever got to see it. And I from what I could see on the TV copy, you couldn't see it. But
You got to find that film, man. Burn
yeah,
that
no, I mean,
tape.
no, thank God. I literally remember like so vividly that game because that was with like a minute 50 left or something, and that put us up like 20 or whatever. So obviously knew the game was over. And I'm just like, dang, like I really hope that wasn't on TV. Like that's bad.
We're all with the whole butt out, just like ass cheeks and
Yeah,
everything. Like,
from
damn.
from my I like I said, couldn't see it on TV, but I was about to I was about to set the ball down to start using both my hands to pull my pants up in that pile because I was like, I mean, what are we doing? But I had to wait until I at least heard him say touchdown, and then I was like, all right, I can get rid of the ball. But yeah, that was a bad deal. That was it was a bad deal for me. But
You mentioned your brother being on the sideline. I kind of wanted to ask, what was that like having Kyle there on the coaching staff as a grad assistant while you're a player on the team? Was that an interesting dynamic that you guys kind of had?
yeah, it was definitely it wasn't weird at first when I came here, but I think it just like the relationship just evolved over my time here, and it got better as we had been here longer with each other, and I'd gotten opportunities to play. But no, it was definitely that was probably the coolest 2 years of my life, getting a chance to share the sideline with him and to share those memories with him, especially like my first start versus Northwestern, going in on the road against Michigan, Indiana, my first season here, starting the bowl game this year, all that stuff was just cool to get to share with him. And also, you know, I got my fair share of cuss outs from my brother, but that was, we both knew that when we were on the football field, on the practice field, in the stadium, whatever that we were, it was all business. But when we left, we obviously had that relationship that we've had since I was born. And we never had, very rarely did those two things overlap. So I think it was really good. It was definitely a fun 2 years. And we have plenty of memories and things that we could talk about for the rest of our lives that we were able to share over the last 2 years.
Another guy I wanted to ask about, not on the coaching staff, but I know kind of aided your development as a player, was David Faust. You've talked about him before in the past,
Yep.
former backup QB. Can you kind of tell us about the insight he gave, the type of guy he was in that QB room for you guys?
Yeah, yeah. So that whole quarterback room, my first year here in 2022 was, I mean, probably my favorite quarterback room, to this day. In terms of just the guys we had, and with Fausti, like he was an older guy in the room, but he was like such a goofball. It was like a good like he just never was never too high, too low. But at the end of the day, like guys like him and obviously Eric Najarian, who's now our quarterback GA, like there was me, Cam Edge, Jaden Saray. There was all these younger guys that came in and they did nothing but help us and try to, help us grow as players and also, as guys off the field, knowing that, we were going through the transition of me transferring, those guys coming in. And there's a reason we still are all really good friends 2 years later after that quarterback room, after we all, guys had to leave, guys transferred, whatever. To where we're still friends and we talk pretty regularly. I'm sure here in probably a couple of weeks or so I'll be able to go golf with Faust. And we'll have our good conversations. But yeah, they did. Fausti and him and Eric just did nothing but help us go through the learning gap, especially learn this offense. It's not an easy offense to learn. And help me go through the growing pains and stuff. And they were able to share the experiences that they've had through their careers, whether it was playing or not, the adversity that they had to go through, they were able to just kind of pour into us and allow us to, just grow, just get better and mature, which definitely, I think I did a lot of in my first year here. And I think a lot of credit goes to David Faust and the rest of that quarterback room for helping me with that.
So, your first quarterback room in college was obviously not at Maryland. It was at Wake Forest, and wildly successful season, I think, at least from the outside looking in. What do you remember from that quarterback room and kind of learning from Hartman?
Yeah, that's another one too. I still talk to Sam to this day. Texted him probably like a week and a half ago once he got signed with the Commanders. Have learned a lot from him. We talked a lot when I ended up entering the portal and was trying to figure out where to go and stuff. And he had he gave me a lot of guidance as someone he had been in college 4 years at that time. Obviously ended up doing 6. Pretty much started all 6 basically. Besides that 1 year he got hurt at Wake. So it was just good to he especially too, right, had a lot of experience. He had a lot of highs in his career and had a lot of lows. Whether it was getting benched, injuries, bad games, everything in between. So just able to learn from him, and he was able to, whether he knew it or not. And he obviously taught me things and told me things, but I was able to learn a lot from him my freshman year of just being able to lead a whole team, right? To get a group of guys to rally around you and all go work towards the same common goal, and not get selfish and complacent in doing that. And then also too, just in his preparation, because I think I learned a lot my freshman year at Wake, just being around him and the rest of the quarterback room, because all those guys, they prepared like maniacs, right? Whereas the 17, 18-year-old I was when I first came in there, I was like, these guys are crazy. But as I got older, and especially once I got here and I knew I was going to get a chance to play, that the lessons and the things, the tools that I learned from them in my first year there, that all came back up, kind of jumping in my face to where I could use it to help myself and throughout my career. So I've been very blessed and fortunate to have been around some really good quarterback rooms, some really good quarterbacks, and most importantly, some really good people throughout my career that I've been able to learn from and kind of take bits and pieces from and add it to my own thing to try to better myself.
Speaking of relationships, what's your and Cam's relationship like? I mean, I know, like, I'm sure it's good, and you're not, even if it wasn't, you wouldn't say it, but like, just in terms of like, how do you balance like keeping it kind of cordial and separated, because you guys are competing for the same job, and I'm assuming being best friends doesn't necessarily like lend to that, but also like that's your
Yeah.
teammate, like, so can you
Yeah.
kind of describe that dynamic?
I think with me and Cam, right, we got here, we both got to Maryland at the same time. Obviously, I was a transfer. He was, enrolling there in the summer as a freshman. But we've gone through a lot of the similar, we've had a lot of similar experiences since we've gotten here, playing behind Talia and backing them up this past year. And going through new offensive coordinators, learning a lot of new things, being the younger guy in the room and not getting a chance. Obviously my first year here I got opportunities to play, when just a year prior when I was at Wake Forest, I didn't play at all. So I knew kind of what Cam, as a freshman, when you first get in here, you obviously have high hopes, and obviously, majority of the guys they're not going to play as true freshmen, especially quarterback. That's just how it goes. So, I always admired him for how he went about his business and worked, because he reminded me of what I was doing a year prior, and just put in the work and just chip away, and eventually at some point, your opportunity is going to come. So that's what I think has been allowed us to, still have a good relationship outside of football. While we're going through this competition together, it's just we've had so many similar experiences, and I think at the end of the day, whether it's just between me and Cam or the whole quarterback room, like, we really do try to help each other out there, because we're not there's no bad blood in the sense of, like, sometimes Cam or MJ or any of them will come off the field and ask me like, hey, what'd you see there? And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to tell you what I saw, because I'm not confident in it. So I don't want to, like, tell you, oh yeah, you were right here or you were wrong, and then we get a tape and I completely screwed you over with what I saw. So we always had that good dialogue on the field, and then when we get off the field, like, probably like a week and a half ago, I was playing pickup against Cam, and we were trash talking the whole way up and down. It's just how we are. We're both competitors, but yeah. So we just been. I think we've all been very mature about it, just trying to go about our business the right way, and also know that it's not going to benefit anybody in this quarterback competition to be rude, to be not kind, I guess, to other people. Right? We're all trying to help each other out, and
Yeah.
just allow ourselves to put our best foot forward every day and help each other and bring each other along, right? Because obviously, if we can make each other better in our room, then that's just going to give our team the best chance to be successful coming the fall, which is what we all want.
I've played basketball against Cam. He's pretty good. He's a bucket. I will say he can shoot a little. But I had to guard Dylan, or is it Dylan or Dean? It's Dylan Wade, right? The tight end.
Wade? Oh yeah, I heard he's a crazy hooper.
Let me tell you something, man. That was not fun guarding him. It's like a 6'6",
I didn't
like
get a chance to
sculpt.
play with him. But I've heard things about him, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess then the next question, and I do think this is a fair thing to ask. In today's era of college football, the likelihood that all three of you, Cam, MJ, are still around after either the end of this year or even at the end of spring practice seems low. what do you think kind of that room is situated to be after, we kind of get a better gauge on who's going to be playing more? And how do you think you guys are going to handle that? Like, okay, someone won the starting job. Like, what are my next steps?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how well I can answer that in the sense of like it's May 8th or 9th right now or whatever. Like to my knowledge, I have no clue. The portal's closed before the season. So
Yeah.
we all know, we know we're all going to be here for that. After that, I have no clue, right? Obviously, like just from from a general stance of answering your question, like I always tell people, like obviously now you guys know college football is a business. We all got to make the best decision for ourselves. Um, whether that's to enter the portal, whatever. Like at some point, everyone has to put their own interest at up top and first. So I have no clue how the season's going to go out. I just know between now and August 31st or whenever our first game is, we're all going to push each other, compete, still get better. Coach Locks will make the decision of who's going to go out there and who the backup is and whatever. And but also the twofold of that is it's a long season. So however it starts could not be how it ends. Who knows? And then after that, like I said, people got to make the best decision for themselves. Obviously, it probably won't look this the room probably won't look the same as it does now, but I have no clue, I have no clue how that's all going to work out. For me, you know, I know it from my personal stance, I'm about to graduate, start my master's program in the fall and continue to try to become the best quarterback I can be so that whenever I do get my opportunity, whether it's, whenever that first game is, that I'm ready. So, but yeah, no, that's the answer to that question is definitely an interesting one, but I think only Nostradamus could tell us what that is.
I want to make sure I just heard you correctly. Did you say that you graduated, like you're about to graduate? So did you graduate in 3 years, or?
Yeah.
Very impressive. What are you graduating with?
Communications. And then I just got into my master's program, MTech in the engineering school. It's like entrepreneurship, I think, in technological studies, I believe is the last part of it. So I'll start that in the fall. Take a couple classes online, have a lot more time to watch film and get ready for the games. So I'm excited.
Completely unrelated, but I was wondering what your best Coach Locksley story is.
Let me see. Let me. I mean, shoot. There's too many. Like, I don't know if I can. I'll try to think of one over the next like minute while I'm talking about it. But like, especially since he's become our quarterback coach, and we meet with him. It's every day is a extremely entertaining meeting. Extremely entertaining. Extremely productive. He's obviously coached for a very long time. He's got a lot of stories, a lot of wisdom to drop on us in the quarterback room. Um, Dang, no, I'm really trying to think of just one, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can filter through them that quick. But
Can you
just know
can you
we're in good hands with Coach Locks as our head coach and quarterback coach.
can you kind of explain why he became like what drove the switch to make him the quarterback coach?
Yeah, I think, and just from how he answers stuff, um, and just the state of what our programs are right now, I would assume it would be just because of the quarterback competition, right? Because obviously, since he's been here pretty much, except that first season, it's been Talia, running the show. So I think my assumption would be he just wants a closer look to because obviously, ultimately, he's going to make the decision, right, of which one of us starts. So he wants a closer look in terms of getting to see us in every aspect, not just out on the practice field when we're taking live reps. He wants to see us in pre-practice, walkthroughs, meetings, film, you know, taking the tests or notes that they give us, whatever. So I think it was just to give him right. We as quarterbacks, we all want to put ourselves in the best, best spot to be productive and go out there and produce. And he wanted to do the same thing. So I think that's why he made the switch to have him run the quarterbacks, so he could be around us as much as possible and have a good sense of things of how we all are, so that when it's time to make the decision on who's going to start, he feels as best as possible making that decision.
I know he's kind of said that he's not going to release that decision, at least publicly, I think, until the week before the UConn game. Do you guys think you'll have a sense of who's going to start, or going to be waiting on that decision? I guess. Do you think he'll know?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, shoot, I'm going to my 4th season in college football. This is the first quarterback competition I've ever been in. So I don't know if we'll have a clear answer. The one thing I will know is, regardless of what, what it's looking like, I know that, all of us will continue to just come in every day and put our best foot forward and know that, obviously as time gets closer, things get, visions start to become clear, the picture starts to become painted a little bit more. But yeah, we're still a far way out from that. So I'm sure, that'll be here quicker than we know it. But I think for now, we all just gotta keep putting our best foot forward and let things play out as they will.
Billy, I don't know if it's known to you, but you are in fact Ginger. So I have to ask, is there any nicknames or anything you want people in CP to be calling you if you are to win the QB battle?
I don't know if I have any. I've been called a lot of nicknames since I got here. Billy the Kid, Kill Bill. Someone called me one like literally 2 days ago. What was it? Red Rifle. Who's the basketball player? Kevin. I don't know how to say his last name.
Kevin Herter.
Yeah, there's been a million. So
you don't even look like
one.
But he doesn't even look like Herter. I was gonna say you look like the Ginger Max Duggan. Like that's what I would, if anything. You know what I mean?
There's been a million. I don't think I have one specifically. I like to let the other, the outside world do that. I've been fans of a lot of the ones I've been called, but as soon as I feel like there's one that I like, another one comes up. Like they just find a way. So we'll let Terp Nation figure that out, and we'll ride with whatever they pick.
Well, whatever it is, we'll maybe have to rerun it back during the season, and we get to introduce you as Kill Bill or the Red Rifle. But for now, we'll just stick with Billy. So thank you again for hopping on. Really appreciate your time, man, and good luck with everything this off season.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me.